Welcome to another episode of This My Baby Daddy podcast. It's your favorite baby daddy, AJ. And today we're going to have a conversation about fatherhood before we became fathers. And what I mean by that is oftentimes we get so engulfed in what we're doing now and like, yeah, I'm a dad, I'm a dad, I'm a dad. But before I was a dad, I was somebody way before then. I had a completely different life. And a lot of times, not only do we not talk about the life that we had before, we don't talk about the life that we had before, how it shapes how we actually parent how we are now. And to that subject, I'd like to bring on Mr. Tyrone White. Appreciate you being with me today, brother.
No problem, brother. It's a blessing.
Yeah, so before we dive right into that topic, I'm going to ask you the first question I ask everybody. What does it mean to you to be a father?
To me, because I come from a family of fathers. My father's been in my life, my entire life. My father got me very young from Queens, New York at 1 years old. So he was a 17, 18-year-old kid running around with a 1 year old and moved me to Chicago. So I've watched him develop into a father, right? But being that we're so close in age, our friendship and our bond helped me understand the meaning of fatherhood, that it's ongoing. You're actually building. The word legacy, I think, is kind of small there. You're building a nation somewhat, because from your offspring, 100 years from now, is going to be so many different people and so many different things. And it's always looking back, remembering grandpa or remembering dad. So to me, it means to be a father is to be a family man. I'm a father to not only my children, but all of the children in my family. It's a village thing. I try not to separate the baby mama thing, the who I had the kids by. It takes a village to raise them. So to me, the meaning of fatherhood is very vast. It's love, it's respect, it's listening, it's caring, it's learning these weird emotions called empathy. I didn't know what the hell those were. Learning how to feel, especially with female children. We're programmed not to feel as Black men to an extent. In my life story, I was definitely programmed not to feel where I'm from and the things that I've been through. So to me, fatherhood is the greatest thing that I've ever accomplished.
So you said your dad had you as a teenager.
So my dad, just brief backstory. My dad was on the south side of Chicago. He thought he was going to be a Black Panther, right, in the 70s. So throwing high school out in Harvey, they blew up the tunnel. They Molotov cocktail the tunnel, him and my Uncle Ace. They thought it was the greatest thing in the world. They get caught. But back then, laws were a little different. It's depending on who your family was, who they knew. And the agreement was he could never go to school in Cook County, Illinois again. He had to leave. So he moved to Brooklyn. Uh, I had an auntie in Queens. He moved over kind of in the Queens, Brooklyn area, and went to Boys and Girls High School in Brooklyn, still a prominent school to this day. And met my mom. She was young, how they did it back then, 15 years old. And next thing you know, I can't tell the story, but it's a funny backstory to how they got together. Had my mom. At one point, my grandfather, being a father of nine, called my father in Chicago and said, a man raises his sons. It's all of his children. Come get your son. My father flew from Chicago. I had another uncle that had a paper route. Had saved all his money. He was getting ready to go to Howard University. He had saved his money. And my pop came and got me. My mom never knew that I was gone that day. She didn't know I was gone. She was unfortunately at a young girl with no job. You can understand what she was doing to make a living. I ended up in Chicago, the only kid with just a dad, no mom. That was a unique experience in itself. Single mothers all in the hood. So I had 50 moms in the hood. Everybody in the hood raised me, you know. And it was a quite unique experience, but it definitely taught me a lot. Definitely taught me a lot.
So could you tell that you were raised a little different, seeing as though you was just had your dad, or do you feel like you was raised different? Because just like you said, and I noticed that a lot, right? Especially with Black women, if they see a single Black dad, they really try to help them out. And I've noticed that in my own life, you know. So were you able to feel like, oh, my mom's not here, or I'm not like everybody else, or since you had so many people that felt like, like
I felt that way. I felt that way some of my earliest memories of not having a mother. I definitely felt that way. I could tell the difference in my behavior and how I view things versus the kids that I played with. You know, when I scrape my knee, it was boy, get your ass up. When they scrape their knee, they got band-aids.
Yeah.
Kisses and hugs. I had a expectation to be a man. Then I'm raised in the house with all uncles. Grandma was the only female. So that really hindered me when it came to developing female relationships as I got older, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it makes a
So
lot of
it,
sense.
yeah, so and that really, once I became a father, I had to kind of bring it in a little bit because I mean, I was still in the streets. I was like, I just did 8 years in prison, man. I didn't have no clue about none of this stuff, you know? Had my first kid, like I said, going through that experience, going to prison. After prison, I moved to Seattle. The best thing that ever happened to me. And I had a new life ahead of me. And then once I became a dad, it was quite confusing because I didn't have that softness. You know what I mean? I didn't have that. It didn't exist in me. So uh, it was quite different.
So was being a dad or raising a family, starting a family, is that something that you thought about, dreamed of? Was that something that's
In
just,
prison,
it never
before
crossed your
that,
mind? Yeah.
never crossed my mind. I thought I was going to die in the street.
Yeah.
That's just where I was. Everybody around me had that fate. Thought it was me.
So when you finally found out that you were having a child, did it click right then and there, or was it something that took time?
Didn't click till she was born. Didn't click till they pulled her out and gave it to me. Come on. It was a different feeling. Once my daughter was born, I knew I had a responsibility to somebody else other than myself. So it was a major transition that I wasn't ready for. And it still took years to learn and develop because my dad didn't have his dad, right? So my dad becoming a dad, it was new to him as a 17, 18-year-old guy. So, boom, what is he teaching me? He's teaching me work, earn money. That's it. The
Yeah.
intricacies of running a household, black men, for lack of a better term, are so lost on. I didn't start learning that until about a decade. And I'm 48 years old now. There is a process to it. It takes a village, and I'll always repeat that. It takes a village, but it also takes a calming of the spirit for the man to understand this task that you're on, this duty of raising children is separate from the streets. It's separate from work, although it all has to tie in. I had no experience to draw on. I'm 8 years in maximum security prison with some of the craziest Negroes you ever gonna meet. You think they gonna tell me how to be a father? All they want to do is they baby mama to come see them so they can get some cookies, what they call cut miles off the yard and some new Jordans. They weren't really concerned. And then those same brothers, when they came home, watching them that had children prior to incarceration, trying to re-enter their life, it was just tragic. There was nothing to draw on. So I was blessed to have people around me, females, who helped me through the process.
So this happened prior to your children being born. Have you ever
Yeah,
had your conversation with your children about this, about your past?
yeah. Oh yeah. It's
And what
not a
age? What age?
about prison and streets and shit. Very early because I have a lot of the friends that are still alive. We've been friends through the whole rip. All of us have been
Yeah.
blessed to move on to greater lives, to bigger things, and we helped each other through a network of men. So I didn't hide anything. I didn't want anybody else to create a narrative for my daughter about me.
Right.
I didn't want anybody else to, get involved with their input because they weren't there. If you want to know, I'll tell you. I try to keep it funny, light, but it's very serious, the things that I went through and lived. A lot of brothers
Right.
did not live.
Right. So was it something they addressed to you, or is it something that you brought to them? Just like, hey, Dad, want to sit down. I'm going to tell you something. Or was it something because, like, an example is I was asked, or I wasn't even asked. It was something that my kids said something about getting locked up, right? Because they had seen, of course, they have seen me get, which I shouldn't say, of course, because it's not like it's obvious. At one point in time, I got pulled over with my kids in the car, and they took and goddamn cop took my license and all kinds of stuff. My kids talk about this to this day. They were in car seats. They like, oh, the police are here. They still talk about it and laugh about it whenever they see a cop around me, right? But they never. At one point, they were talking about somebody that got locked up, and I know I got locked up for a DUI, but I didn't tell them. They didn't ask me, and I was wondering, like, when would I tell them this? Well, I know I will tell them at some point, but it's like, when do I even discuss something like that?
Once they come about drinking age, it's a good lesson for them to learn.
Well, yeah, 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 yeah. But
Good
yeah,
background story. They have a reference point at that point.
yeah.
With mine, I'm gonna tell you like this. I have a very, very, very large family. So with
Yeah.
mine, there was those stories and those jokes that
Oh,
stigma that they put on black children, they're bad. I never believed it in the bad children thing. Telling stories about my past from their perspectives, not knowing from my perspective, that shit,
mm,
man, I was a lost kid. Some of those things that we
yeah,
talked about earlier in the conversation about not having that mother connection, I was kind of roaming free. I felt like nobody cared. Oh, my dad was a hard worker. He was trying to build a legacy that nobody had done before. He accomplished that, but there was a lot of sacrifices made. So I
right.
didn't want other people giving the narrative. One of my cases was a very violent case. It was a home invasion, but it was a home invasion kind of by mistake. We didn't know the people were there. It turned into that.
Right.
And I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't going to kill or hurt nobody. I wasn't going to do anything like that. We had a specific mission for this money that we was trying to get, right? With a network of dudes that we preyed upon people to commit these crimes, right? Young age. Once we went through all of that, and I go to prison because initially I got life in 35 years, man. And then they broke it down. I got the life sentence up off me. I'm still sitting at 35 years at 19 years old. I'm supposed to be in college, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't want anybody giving that narrative to my kid. Oh, he was just bad. He was out here hurting people. I was dumb. I was misguided. Although you see this family around you doing so great now, everything is so beautiful, things weren't always this way. So my goal was to create my own narrative with my child so they respect me, not for another story that's being given by somebody else.
So, so let me ask you this: when you say you felt that way about like you were lacking that mother instinct, that motherly love, how did you think when you did go to prison? And we know, if you talk about, I don't know your dad, but I know dads like your dad. I can just imagine pictures. So when you get into that situation and you do have to go away, how does that affect your relationship with your father at that point?
Never left my side. That's all I can say. Never left my side. I never wanted for anything. But it was rough.
Yeah.
Cut that part out. It was rough to say the least, but I appreciated the support and the concern. Okay. So disappointment, only improvement. And that's being a father. My fault,
So
man.
when
I need another shot. My bad. Go ahead.
Nah, you good. Nah, you good, man. I mean, but this is what these conversations are made for, because it's so many, and you're not the only person that's gone through it. I know who I have coming on the show. There's episodes I have with I've seen a complete transformation. This is someone I've known since he was a baby. So I'm definitely gonna get him on the show and see the transformation that what he's occurred. So it's the stories that's just not talked about, right? Because
At
you're not
all.
this is what's funny is your story and stories like yours. It makes me back to an episode I had having about a couple weeks ago. Where he said everyone feels like you're going through this stuff alone. You're not the only person that's gone through it. Just that you might be the only person that's talking about it. And by
Right.
you talking about it opens up for more people to talk about it. And that's what it's made for. That's what's
Man,
supposed to happen.
others, I tell brothers this, even if they haven't been incarcerated, therapy, communication with other brothers, iron sharpening iron, steel sharpening steel, whichever term you want to use is key to
Yeah,
overcoming a lot of these things. This game is not designed for black men to win by any means. By
yeah,
any means. I mean, it ain't even designed for the former president to win. As soon as he got out of office, you started hearing about his marriage and stuff like that, not about the great
yeah,
policies that he instituted. So if it's not designed for him to win as the winner that we feel like won the prize, a guy like me, it's definitely not designed. But that fatherhood, that father that's supportive, gave me the input. But it's also a feeling he put in me that I couldn't let him down.
yeah.
And that's every morning. Every morning I wake
So,
up.
So you had that for him. How do you feel about that way about your children?
Then we get complicated when it comes to children because I wasn't married to my oldest child's mom or my son's mother. Joint custody, two sets of rules, two sets of understanding. That thing goes so
Oh,
deep. We can have 4 episodes about that.
yeah.
And it's very hard. It's very hard to raise a child with two sets of rules. It's very hard to saying I don't want you to let me down versus the other person, the child having the attitude of not doing it is two opposite things. Sometimes when you say, I don't want you to let me down, it seems like you're laying the hammer down, like you're actually putting a weird emotion in a kid. I've seen kids then to go crazy. I was married at one point and I had a stepdaughter that I thought she was gonna lose her mind. Her sense of grabbing perfection was so strong that she forgot about the rest of life. And I was able to help her create that balance. As far as my children, I don't have a great relationship with my son's mother or my son, which is a kind of pisses me off every morning, But with my daughter, she hides things from me not to let me down. I'm always gonna find out. I had to find balance. Be who you are. Succeed in the way you can. You are not me. Because she said one day she wasn't doing too good in school, and she said everybody says you were so smart. You did such great things at math, this, that, and the third. And they didn't tell you I cheated a lot. They didn't tell you. They didn't tell you that I paid people to do term papers and homework. They didn't tell you that.
Yeah.
Don't take the narrative of my life. Take the good things from my life that examples that I can give you. But if you don't want to let me down, and if that is your motivation, cool. But that's just my motivation with me and my dad. You know, um, for him to go to his grave knowing he did the best job, and I know that I returned that favor by doing the best job that I could do. You know,
Well, that's good you said that about your children, but I was meaning, how do they motivate you?
how do my children motivate me? Lights, food, clothing, shelter. That's how they motivate me. I got to keep those things. I promised them both. I said, if I ain't got nothing else for you in the world, I got food, clothing, and shelter. You always have somewhere to stay, a meal to eat, and a roof over your head as long as I'm alive, right? It motivated me to set an example. Now, mind you, 8 years in prison, I come out with no education, no job experience. I had to build myself, man. I had to start emulating people. Sometimes you got to emulate the actor to get into the role, that method acting type stuff. I
Yeah.
started emulating other people's success to find my own, which made me extremely unhappy because I knew that wasn't me, right? I had to find
Hmm.
who I am as a man. And a lot of the definitions that mass media and social media and stuff put out about black men of what a man is was not what it was.
Yeah.
So it's nowhere near what it was, right? So the challenges of getting told no, I think about my children. I go to jobs, no, you're a felon. You think about your children. And then I started being smart enough to find loopholes in being a felon. Find different states where you can work in where it doesn't matter. You know, find things. I didn't have to be a truck driver. I can use a brother told me something in prison. My communication skills were great. He said, use what got you here, the drive and the energy to get you here to keep you out of here. And it made no sense to me. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? But that drive, those street skills of being able to make deals, we don't need to talk about those things, but all of these crazy things, right? I was able to translate that stuff into business. And that's what
Yeah.
I tell my daughter. My daughter says, she's not me and she couldn't do what I do. You just don't know. You can do it. I have a college education. I barely made it through high school. They had to bring my diploma to jail. You dig what I'm saying? So I got my diploma and got out on bond. You know what I'm saying? So you're not me. So how does it motivate my children? Motivate me? I want them to be able, going back early in the conversation, to say, man, my dad was a cold brother, man. And this is what he did, and this is what you can do for their children, if not for themselves. This is
Yeah.
ongoing. I'm planning on my grandchildren's grandchildren being great. Definitely, my children are yin and yang. My son is academically, a superstar. Well, my daughter is a social superstar. School just wasn't her
Yeah.
thing, and I get it. You know, but they do motivate me every morning. You had those first 10 thoughts in the morning, you kind of run through your thing, thank God that you're alive, and you run down the thing. And the children, do keep keep me grounded and say, I can't lose because they lose. If they don't have me performing at the top of the game, there's no in between. It's top of the game every time, then they lose. Let the burden of perfection be on me, and you can reap the benefits.
So I do want to touch on one thing. How do you parent your two children differently? And I want to ask
Mm.
because you have very unique circumstance, seeing as though you were raised by men, right? And so the comfort that you need to provide that little girl is completely different. But also, you know how things are for black men,
Right.
and you're trying to teach your son to avoid that. But how are you able to do that in a more coddling type of way that you may have learned the same way from your daughter instead of just being like, hey, you got to do it like this? Like, how are you able to navigate that?
I had to learn, brother. I'm actually looking at the spot about 5 years ago where that changed, standing right in that dining room. I don't know what I was yelling at my daughter about. And I stopped. And I said, why am I yelling? Because that's what my dad would have done to me. You dig what I'm saying? That's what my uncles would have done. They would have yelled, I'm going to kick off in your ass with all of these threats and stuff. And I was like,
Mhm.
why am I yelling at it? It ain't going to make no difference. What happens, happens. It is not going to change going forward. I had to learn that she's a female. And I had to take my feelings about her mother away. I had to take my personal issues with other females, wife, and this, that, and the third away, and understand that this is a unique female that's part of my bloodline who has a lot of me in her. So some of that anger that I harbor is in her. And she don't even know where it came
Mhm.
from. I really had to be patient, listen to her aunts, her grandmothers, and just start listening, man. I literally just started shutting up. And there was one rule in my house. She is not to raise her voice at me. If you ever raise your voice at me, I'm going to ask you to step outdoors. Get your mind right and come back so we can talk. That's how I developed compassion and empathy through communication and being patient. You know, I had to look back in my life. I said, damn, somebody had to be patient with me. You know, I got this person in my home that I'm responsible for everything you do, even the glass of water that you're drinking.
Mhm.
And there's no reason for me to be cruel to you or propagate and preach violence upon you. You know, this ain't 1862 on the plantation where I'm going to beat it into you or out of you. I had to learn to listen, brother. And I had to learn to listen in all relationships with females, period, including her mother. If I didn't agree, it's okay for me not to agree, even with my daughter. It's okay. I didn't
Yeah.
have to voice it. I'm the master of Kevin Hart started it, man. I'm the master. I know that's right. I just listen. What can I
Yeah.
do to help? What can I do to help became my thing. And that opened up our relationship, then became a hiccup in our relationship. We were talking about that standard that you set where they don't want to disappoint you. Me learning to effectively communicate with her and respect that she's a growing young lady and she's going to do young lady things. She's going to date. She's going to wear makeup and hey, she's not a Mormon trapped on a farm somewhere, so I gotta respect it, you know? So me calming down, communicating with her effectively and all females in my life, it changed our relationship. You gonna get that hiccup after high school? I tell all dads, you think she gonna be daddy girl your whole life. It's gonna come some years where she ain't. It's gonna be
Yeah.
them years.
Yeah. I ain't looking forward to it.
I just dealt with that year. I just dealt with that the past year after graduation. Moved out, and it was points she didn't come over for months. She knew I didn't agree with what she was doing. Now she just stays down the street, so ain't no big deal. You know, we see each other all the time, but um, yeah, it was that gap, and I had to pivot then. So now I'm the father of an adult.
Yeah.
How do I address that? Because when they're 3, 4 years old, shut your ass up and sit down means one thing. When they're 20, 21, shut your ass up and sit down to mean nothing. They got keys to their own car and their own house. But with that adulthood, now it's time for me to start teaching you developmental things that are moving to help keep you safe as a woman or as a black woman, because there's a designation there to help keep you safe.
Mhm.
And I'm not a friend parent, dude. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't believe in that whole friendship thing, but I had to bring it down so we can, you know, if you got something to say, listen. Because one thing I know about children, and think about when you were a young child or young man coming up, sometimes those talks don't change the outcome. it may ease the blow if it becomes negative, right? So I had to learn to communicate, man, and soften my stance a little bit when it comes to a female child. Definitely had to do that.
What about your son?
I don't have the greatest relationship with my son. My son's mother's from Belize, and it's always been games, brother. It was a money game. So here's the weird dynamic. I was asked to speak about this yesterday. I usually stay away from the subject. The weird dynamic is he communicates with his sister to me. I hit his mom up. What's going on with the boy? I don't know why the boy ain't called me. I've been to Seattle a dozen times looking for him. I had a private investigator 3 years ago, bro. I've been through all kinds of stuff, right? She's like, he don't want to talk to you. Done nothing wrong. So there's a narrative in the background that you've been giving him that I'm not privy
Yeah.
to, and you don't want me to destroy that relationship. I'm not here for that. I'm here for when he knocks on the door, he finally rings that phone. We ain't finna miss a beat because I was there with you, son, when you died on the table when you came out. I sat in them 30 days and I see you with you. Not your mother. Your mother was declared legally unfit to supervise you when you were born. My son died when he was born, and thank God I walked into the room when he had in the womb and he had stopped breathing. And the alarms are going off. She was unconscious. Just as showed up at the hospital. But God works in mysterious ways, and I was able to hit that button and they were able to pull him out and save his life right there. It was one of the wickedest things that I've ever seen. But I would go to Seattle, man, and I would try to find him. And the last time I physically saw him, I spent 5 days there. She kept ducking me. I'm in Vancouver. I'm in Canada doing something. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll meet you at the hotel. Never happened. On my way to the airport, I stopped by Ezel Chicken to get me a 3-piece with some mild sauce and some fries. And who's sitting in there? Her husband, and my son. I had a choice to make then. Like, her daughter was there too. Her daughter looked at me and was telling her mom, there's Tyrone, and she would not move. Her not turning around said, if I walk up to that table while they're eating, it's about to be a problem. You did? Do I want this boy's narrative of me that the next time I see my dad and get into a fight with some dude about me or something like that? Because that's not what it's about. It's not about me and your mom's relationship. It's about me and yours. If it's God's will, that relationship will develop. I ain't no chump. I ain't no slouch. I'm here for him. I've never ducked the responsibility, and I got all the receipts, brother. Literally.
And how old is your child?
He's 18
Your
now.
son? 18.
He's 18.
And to be honest, this is a story that's you're not alone on this one either. And that is something that's not discussed. That is something where I've seen situations where, oh my God, I've seen it where it's been the dad's been in town, the mom act like she's out of town,
Yeah.
but really in town, and it's all kind, and it's just
It's like a
and just not and just or just not answering, responding to text and say, hey, I'm going to be somewhere. Can I get the kid? Can I see him? Can I see him? Can I see
yeah.
him? And you're there for 2 3 days, you get the response back the last day, like, hey, we're going to be free from 7 10,
8:30. Yeah, something crazy.
like
Yeah.
like something like that. And it's like, well, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
Mhm.
And then it becomes, well, I gave you a time. It's like, okay,
But I spent thousands of dollars to come here, showing you
yeah,
that I'm here to build a relationship with her. I'm gonna be real honest with you, man. If we weren't being intimate, especially when he was younger, then it was no
yeah,
play. And I was like, man, now I'm somebody's slave, man. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm about to use a name in popular media right now.
yeah, yeah,
I'm showing up to the party for a task. You know what I'm saying? Just to spend time with my boy to buy him a bike. This is crazy. But my dad told me, back to that story where I ran into him in the chicken place. I called my dad and he said, son, when your flight leave? I said, in 2 hours. He said, get on the plane. I
yeah,
said, why is that? He said, think about the catastrophe of you going to jail. When you walk up to that table, they're going to set it off. And I know you're not going to back down. This is going to be a worse than you not seeing them in that moment. Because I actually had that moment with my biological mother when I was about 4 or 5 years old in downtown Chicago, man. She came to visit me and decided she was going to kidnap me. And it turned into one of my earliest memories, an all-out brawl in the Sheraton Hotel. So my auntie had to come get me. My stepmother at the time, well, her and my daddy got together, had to come get me. I'm literally being in between two sets of people to get me away from my mother. You talk about confused. I didn't want that for my boy. I didn't want to repeat that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I tell brothers, man, if you got a baby's mama, or however you want to address him, decide on who you're in a relationship with, the child. So if you're stuck in a relationship with her, because you get a lot of brothers who get jealous. They move on in relationships. They mad because they always out there fighting and arguing and all of this crazy stuff. Right? I ducked all of that. Any brother that my children's mother date, how you doing, man? Hey, good to meet you. You invited to the barbecue or whatever. In a relationship with her, in a relationship with this, building a relationship with this. You did what I'm saying? Tell brothers quick. If you've been incarcerated, you've been in military service where you've been gone, you've been part of a conception of a child where you weren't married and you guys don't get along, it's okay to get some therapy, man. Therefore, to free through your insurance if you got a job, it's okay for you to sit down and kindly invite that mother to sit down and you guys talk it out in front of a neutral party. It may or may not work, but there's a beginning, there's a start. You know, it's better than you showing up in somebody's front yard arguing about a child because that child's recording. That child's
Mhm.
seeing all that. You know what that turns into? That child being the same type of parent. 15, 20 years later, you as a grandfather gonna be showing up at your daughter's house where she arguing with some dude about their kid. So I try to correct the narrative, man. I try to change it. But it's okay to talk, communicate. And if they're gonna duck you, you come in to see them, enjoy your vacation while you're at there. Take some pictures for the kid that you was there to show them later on. And then it's rough to do that to children. Say, I tried. Because you don't want to crush their mom or shit on their
Yeah.
mom. You know,
Yeah.
I tried, but the only reason I keep the receipts is not to throw anything in your face. I just want you to know that I was always there. That mug got that check every 2 weeks, did
My side. You wanna actually hear that if you ever want to
you?
sit down and have dad's side, dad got receipts to show all of this.
And
All
look,
of this.
didn't miss a birthday, didn't miss a payment. So, and every year, every holiday, hey, can I see Jaden? Can I see this, that? Zero dark 30. Don't hear nothing back, right?
Yeah.
But then I said, that's kind of bad on her. What type of woman or person, even if it was flipped, if I was doing this, their soul got to be hurting for them to be doing this to their child. You're forcibly raising your child alone. You don't have to.
Forcibly raising your child alone
You're forcing
is is
yourself.
is something that really needs to be talked about a lot more.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of people out here that have more than willing, they have fathers more than willing to be in their parents, to be in their child's life, that wants to be in that child's life, but you decide that you want to raise this child on your own, do it your way, and I will figure it out. Me and my children will get it together. Like the shit does
Right.
not work that way. It
And it
does
doesn't make
not
any
work that
sense.
way.
Not
It
at all.
makes absolutely no sense.
Not at all. Especially, and I hate to say when a brother's trying, but some brothers try for an extent. They might get another relationship and forget the mission, right? I never forgot the mission. Never forgot the
Hey,
mission. So there was points with my daughter's mom where she tried to hide my daughter, or she had moved out of state one time on me, just all kind of stuff. Man, I had to get involved, man. And it cost me everything I had. Everything I had, I was down to nothing. Out of my house back into an apartment, bro. Nothing. Paying lawyers. I mean, lawyers charging me $300 for an email. I'm like, damn. $600 to file a motion. But here's the catch: the kid was staying with me, and I still had to fight tooth and nail in the court because there's some stigmas. There's some lies being told to black men. One, because you're a felon does not mean you cannot have custody or joint custody of your child, unless that felony includes child abuse.
perfect.
You can have a murder charge and still get custody of your child. Okay. The courts and the government, we assume that they're only geared to help the females because of government programs. You hear mostly women on food stamps and women on.
Yeah.
You can get advocates as well. You can challenge everything that's said about you to represent you in being a father. Man, I went to court. Boy, you talk about nervous. I came home. I had a letter in the mail. My ex-wife said, now mind you, I've been with my daughter her whole life. So this is my daughter's about 13, 14 in. My ex-wife said, I got a letter saying they taking my child from me. I said, I bet you they don't. There's no way. And I had a standoff, bro, with the police. I'm gonna be honest. Y'all ain't got a warrant. Ain't nobody coming in here. Ain't nobody taking my child out of here. And her mother was sitting outside. She's not allowed on my property. It's just that simple, you know? And we went through it for hours out there, man. They had to call my parents, and I just let them know the only way this child is going is if I'm going. But I said, man, hold on. There's got to be another way. Child Protective Services came. They said, how about we do something neutral? We send her over there with grandma and grandpa until we figure this out. I said, fine, do that. The next day, I'm with my attorney. We gonna figure this out for real, because ain't nobody gonna tell me I can't be no daddy. Come on now. You're not gonna do that to me. So I found all of the laws, man, the loopholes, man. 32-page decree. I kept that thing in hard print in my car. I kept a copy in my car and a copy in my briefcase and a digital copy on my phone everywhere I went, because I'm following the rules of this custody agreement down to the T. There's no, and who would violate it all the time? Who would get fined in contempt of court? Her, every time. Um, Brothers need to definitely understand, if the woman wants to do it alone and you don't choose for her to do that, you have rights, brother. Your kids are gonna be more impressed if you fought for them than against them. Trust me. So the court thing, my thing was, okay, y'all want $585 a month on child support. That ain't no money. Pay more than that, just everyday living with a kid, right? So why give you this money when I could just pay this attorney this money and keep my full rights and help my kid being raised? Because if you don't have any custody over your rights of your child and you're not married or anything, bro, they can take your kid in. That's why I don't have the great relationship with my son. They can go anywhere, and there's no responsibility on them to let you know. But once you got that paperwork, it's a different ballgame.
Preaching to the choir, brother.
Yeah. I just hope
Preaching to the
somebody in your audience
choir.
can listen, bro. It's you gotta grow up, man, and you gotta be a parent, man. You gotta be a father. You can't be the boyfriend and the baby daddy no more when it comes to this fatherhood. You dig what I'm saying? You got to step this game up, and I enjoy it. I get a kick out of it. It's a kinder, gentler, smoother part of me that I get to see all the time until they develop into whoever they are and go crazy. That's on them after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What advice would you give to a father who, let's say, let's not even go with one that has a child after they come out. Let's say a father that has a child when they go in and then they come back home. What would
As
you
a
say
kid,
to that?
my first advice is, while they're incarcerated, there's two relationships. If you have a relationship with that woman and you're going to get out and build a family, I know a bunch of successful brothers who've done such. A good friend of mine, Mario, watching him and his wife building their first home after he's just been incarcerated, beautiful thing, right? So if you have a relationship with the child's mother and you got Jam doing whatever you do, and you're going to come out and y'all going to go from there, it's one thing. Now, if you don't have that relationship, understand 3-4 years goes by, right? When you come out, my first piece of advice is understand who you're there for. Are you there with the mother? Are you there to rebuild that or be in that? Because that's going to be conflict. Or are you there for your child? A little bit of upfront communication before you release if you're able to do this, right? A little bit of upfront communication, asking her, what are your expectations of me? And you voicing your expectations of her. It's not that hard to do. Your ego's gonna be taken. Somebody been having fun while you was gone, brother. So your ego, let that shit go. I'm saying, don't worry about who been over there sleeping around. You did. Worry about, you have to deal with this person for the next 10, 12 years. What are our expectations is the first foremost. Two, make the time. Don't make any excuses about the time. Fuck them weekends. All of that every other weekend, kill that. Be as aggressive as you can to make the time to be in that child's life. Any free time you got, even outside of an agreement, hey, son, you want to go catch a baseball game? These things that young men and young women, they hold dear to their hearts, that time. So expectations, time is all you got. Spend as much of it as you can and learn the child. Become interested in what your child is doing. You've been gone. You don't know what's going on. You only know what you got in a letter on a visit or some shit like that or a phone call. Take the time, not just to go shopping and shit with the kid. Hey man, what you about? Can I come to one of your school joints and see, even if you're ashamed to introduce me as dad because I just got out the joint or something like that, I can play the background. I just want to get to know you. Get to know that person. You're building a relationship with the baby. So trust me, the woman is going to start to see, you're going to go through that phase where maybe she like you again, however you deal with that. That's your own life, right? But the woman is going to start to see that effort and maybe ease up a little bit. If you could just get up, and vice versa. Because in my circumstance, you know, you may have a dad raising a kid. Hell, women go to prison and stuff all the time. Expectations, communication is very paramount. Don't call that woman worrying about her personal life that you weren't a part of. Don't worry about your ego and what man is sleeping with that woman, because none of that's affecting the child. Say, hey, well, if you going out, you mind if I keep shorty? You bring Junior over. Shit, I'm finna throw something on the grill. You know, those things are important. Now you're developing a relationship with that child that no court or no bitter opposite party can break up, can divide. You have to be, my advice is to be a father in all tenets of it. Read a book or two. Talk to brothers like yourself. Do something out the box, man. Start going to church with your kid. Just anything. The mosque, wherever your thing is. Do something out the box. The normalcy of parenthood for black men does not work because it's created by a white man's perspective. This ain't the Cosby Show, baby, and we see how that ended. You know what I'm saying? This ain't that. You got to find your lane in a positive manner because everything that you're doing with that child needs to be positive. Positive
Yeah.
traction. If not, brother, you're going to fail. You're going to be sitting on the porch somewhere smoking a Newport in a rocking chair, not even know your own children. You know? So it's decisions. If you in there, you coming out, like I said, effectively communicate, set the expectations, what we going to do, and put the time into the child. Even if you can't put it in yourself, man, you ain't got to have the flies. I see brothers all the time, and I've seen some tragedies with that. I'm going to stop right here and tell you a tragedy I saw with that since you asked the question. I had a brother named Sean. He went to prison at 17. And what's crazy is he conceived the child right before he went to prison, right? Altogether, Sean did about 17 years. So he didn't have any relationship very much with the daughter. Over time, she came to see him. They wrote letters. So they did get to know each other. So he got out. Now, when he gets out, he don't know nothing about fatherhood because he was a child himself when he went to prison.
Right.
What shocked him was his daughter lived an alternative lifestyle. Her sexual preference was different from what he expected. You know, she was
Right.
dating another female. That blew his mind because now he's been incarcerated where that is frowned upon. Your sexuality judges your manhood. He didn't know how to handle his daughter, and she was more on the male side of the relationship. He began to, instead of developing a relationship, he began to try to run her life. And one day I was on the phone when he told her, "You want to be a nigga, I'll treat you like a nigga." I said, that relationship is dead. You did what I'm saying? He did not have the proper expectations. He did not have the proper communication with her to understand her lifestyle. But that narrative goes over and over and over again because once they're incarcerated, man, they're dealing with some feelings and some shit that the kids don't know about. You got to turn that
Yeah.
off. You got to turn that off. Wait, real. Sometimes you got to ask yourself, what am I here for?
So, and I want to piggyback off of something. So you've spoken highly of your father, especially because it seems like you have a lot of perspective because you understand that one, fatherhood is hard, and two, he did it at such a young age. And so I'm gonna ask you a two-part question. What do you think your father's legacy is, and what would you want your legacy as a father to be?
My father's legacy uh, is going to be great, man. My father built himself into a great man, prominent man, I guess you would say, somewhat wealthy, successful. You know, his legacy is going to be greatness because when he did that, he brought us all with him. He brought us all his brothers. He brought all his homies. A lot of people that you hear me I call uncle that live around us here in Alabama, are actually my dad's kindergarten and childhood friends that he gave jobs, that he put on, that he put in new industries. When he went to Boeing, he brought all of them with him. When he went to AT&T as an executive director, he brought them all with him. You know, his legacy is going to be kindness. You know, people, mutual friends that we know say my dad's the friendliest man in the world. He's a very kind. His legacy would be caring because you can feel it when he talks to you. You can feel that he's engaged and interested, and he's going to follow through with everything he says, and he's going to check on you. He's going to ask you if you need any help. He's going to pull them backdoor strings that he can and say, help every brother. And that's what he taught us. And that's what I do to this day. My legacy as a father, it'll be similar, but of course I'm a wild card. I've always been that wild card. So I think my children will say they will respect me at the end of the day and they will love me. All of my decisions early in the game weren't the best, but I was letting them know this is how it's going to work out in the end because I had a great mentor and my father behind me. You know, when he tell me to step back for a minute, because he's been through this. As in my family, we always say we've seen this play before. We're big football fans, right? We've seen this play before. If we see something and we can put a bug in another black man's ear, back up. So my legacy, I want to piggyback off his and say it'll be caring. It'll be, although dad don't want to do it all the time, dad's there. Dad's working on the car at 105 degrees while the engine running. Dad's, you know, dad's my daughter works a weird shift. If I have to go sit out in the parking lot because she don't like to be embarrassed knowing that I'm there, then I care. I'm there. You know,
Yeah.
my legacy as the father was going to be he was the father, playing all the way through.
Hey, you know what? There is one more thing, and I should have done this earlier, and I don't know why it clicked to my head now. You said your father was raised, and his family was a bunch of is your uncles and everybody there, right? But you said the only person there was your grandmother, and kind of wonder because it kind of makes me think of like I call her it was my great grandmother who raised my father and raised my father wasn't raised by his mother, so she raised my father, but she was the toughest nigga out of anyone. And I don't know if that was the case. It just made me wonder to think like how was she the because my great grandmother was not the comforting. She was the one that would cut you. She was the toughest one out of everybody in the house. So I just wondered how was she in that house?
Mother, may she rest in peace, was very unique. She didn't talk much. She worked her ass off a lot, so she didn't talk much. She's always said, I'll never take a dime of welfare with all of these children because everybody could come live with us. You know, it didn't matter. If you needed somewhere to stay, she was there. She didn't talk much. When it came to the babying, I was the only one that got there, bro. And then one day I was about 7 and one of my uncles got cruel enough to say, because I used to call her mama because I didn't know no
Mhm.
better. And my uncle said, you know that ain't your mama, right? That's mama. I said, this old, me and him best friends. This old piece of shit. So my grandmother she taught us the work ethic. She led by example. She knew, very unique, man. All of her sons went on to be successful, never did a day in prison, all became slightly successful black men. I mean, if there's a looking down proud, that woman is. But she led that to them. She led them to that by not taking handouts. Family first. I don't care how long you are. I done got cousins, man, on the south side of Chicago, been shot in the stomach. My grandmother was a nurse. Watched her push a bullet out of my cousin Michael's stomach before she took him to the hospital. She was that type of grandmother. You know, she had to have that gangster aspect because she got all these boys, and then her
Yeah,
sister got all of these boys, and then across the
yeah,
street, all of her friends are single females, and guess what they all got? Boys.
boys.
So
Yeah.
she had to be the mother to all of them, but because she had this long hair, man. I just remember as a kid brushing that hair, and she would wake up. She worked the weird shift. She'd get off at 11, get home at 11:30 at night, and she would wake me up every night and cook me eggs. I don't know what, but just those times, I slept with my grandmother till I was about 8, 9 years old. Till my uncle told me, "You a boy, you don't sleep with no woman, boy." I was like, and it's a big thing in our family, making her proud. And that was different. You could tell a million stories about Grandma Lula. Strong woman though, cold-blooded sister, man. Cold. And when cancer got her, she didn't miss a beat. When they told her she had cancer, she was watching all my children. She went to the hospital, right? Comes back after the testing. Same hospital she worked in for 40 plus years. Came back after the testing, whole house full of people. She cracked that Coca-Cola and took a bite out of Suzy Q. She said, oh yeah, they said I got cancer. And kept watching TV. Didn't move. But then the party began. Because all of that not talking and not being out and raising children, she wanted to travel. She wanted to see casinos. She wanted to man, she was out of there. I think she tried to spend every dime she had before she went.
Hey man, well she spent all the time raising everybody else, so now live her
Exactly.
time.
But you know,
Yeah.
man, that carried on into the rest of the family, man. It just kept our family tight. We never drifted away. We never drifted away. Them same uncles I'm talking about, I'm with them 5, 6 times a year, bro. We used to take vacations together because we're so close in age. The uncles are only 7, 8, 9 years older than me, the youngest. So we hang out. I mean, party together. You name it. We do, to keep our family together, we do a family retreat, a wellness retreat every year. And sometimes that thing has got up to 300 people, but this last year we kept it to 68 people. So we rent these big cabins and we're going to do that again. We're going to double
Kept
the
it to
capacity.
68. Like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of people.
Oh, here's
That's
the
a lot
beautiful
of people.
part.
I mean,
Here's,
yeah.
here's the beautiful part about my grandmother raising those successful sons. They foot the bill. They say put in $200. Each person put in $200 and we fit the bill for everything else. So it keeps the family together. It keeps us communicating. We stay on the phone so much, bro. I'm on the phone with my family more than business. You know, we're honest and we're open with each other. We help each other, especially with this fatherhood thing. We help each other. The sad part is I'm the first dude in my family that ever got divorced because they all been with their wives since they was young. And I'm the first one to ever have to go through this custody thing. So it confused them. But I have an uncle who's a federal judge, so that kind of helps. But my grandmother's
Yeah.
oldest son is a federal judge.
Well, yeah.
And the family thing, man, keep it strong. Even if you have a small family, man, keep it strong because it gives the kid an outlet. My daughter bounces back and forth between family. Whatever the side of the family thinks she the cutest this year, that's the side that she with. You know what I'm saying? So once burns that side out for a year, she be back on this side and she love them. But
Yeah.
it's beautiful to have all of the people. There's so many people you can't even name them. And then you have my biological mother side of the family. I just buried my biological mother back in April. And that side of the family is massive because my grandfather had 9 children.
Mm.
So it's a lot. It's a blessing to have all of that input and have all of those people who care about your results as a father and care about the child. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, look, man, I can say that this episode can benefit a whole lot of people, whether or not they've been in exactly your situation. I know they've been in something similar. Like
Right.
everybody can pull from, or they know somebody that's been in these type of situations. Because as you're talking, I can literally put a face to just about every different situation. So when we talk about you're not alone in these things, like you're not alone in these things. Some of these situations I can put my face in. And I guess those situations you might, if you're watching, you could see my face and you could tell which
Right.
one of
Yeah, I
those
can see
were.
your
Because
reaction.
yeah, some of those is like, yeah, you're talking to me right now. But yeah, I appreciate you being on, man. And again, we'd love to have you on at any time you want to come back.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Hey, man, call me anytime. We connected. We got mutual connections. I got 1,000 subjects, man. A lot of input. I don't read too many books. You know what I'm saying? So I will say this in closing: these conversations help because the narrative ain't always got to be about the Jordans and the drug dealing and things like that. There's a lot of hurt brothers who are still hurting other brothers because they have unresolved trauma. They have unresolved issues with women. They don't understand that this conversation ain't started in this generation, even going way back to slavery. What they did, they would ship the brother away, and the woman was raising them on the
Sure.
plantation. Wars, brothers going to Vietnam and shit like that. When they came back, everything had changed. There's a lot of pain when it comes to black men, and there's a lot of lack of respect for black women, to be honest, and vice versa. I will say this in closing: if you respect yourself, man, learn to respect that woman. Let her talk, brother. Let her talk. Because once you get in the car and go home, or once the argument done, the results might still be the same. You just wasted a lot of energy.
All right, just let her talk. Just
Just
let
let
her
her
talk.
talk. And you know what? It's okay to agree. All right, cool. That's what you want to do. Cool.
And you don't always got a voice when you disagree.
I don't say nothing, bro. I don't say
You can
nothing. I
just
say, I know
let
that's
it
right.
go.
Look, my daughter mama just taught me the other day about getting some help on the transmission. You got a whole man in the house. What the fuck you? I said, if I can help you, I will.
But I can't.
No, when I hung up the
But I
phone, I went
can't.
back to sleep. All right,
Oh,
brother. Thank you for
perfect
having me,
timing.
man. Nice
No
meeting you, man.
problem.
All
All right.
right, peace.
Episode of Just My Baby Daddy podcast. I know you liked what you saw. So what I need for you to do is go back and look at past episodes. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share our YouTube page, Just My Baby Daddy Podcast. And you can follow us on all social media at Just My Baby Daddy Pod.